The Audio Adventures of Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there lived in a certain village a little country girl, the prettiest creature that ever was seen. Her mother was excessively fond of her, and her grandmother doted on her still more. This good woman had made for her a little Red Riding Hood, which became the girl so extremely well that everybody called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother, having made some custards, said to her, "Go, my dear, and see how thy grandmother does, for I hear she has been very ill. Carry her a custard and this little pot of butter." As she was going through the wood, she met with a Ms. Wolf, who had a very great idea to eat her up, but she dared not because of some woodcutters nearby in the forest. She asked her where she was going. The poor child, who did not know that it was dangerous to stay and hear a Ms. Wolf talk, said to her, "I am going to see my grandmother and carry her a custard and a little pot of butter from my mamma." "Does she live far off?" said the Ms. Wolf. "Oh, yes," answered Little Red Riding Hood. "It is beyond that mill that you see there at the first house in the village." "Well," said the Miss Wolf, "and I'll go and see her too. I'll go this way and you go that, and we shall see who will be there soonest." The wolf began to run as fast as she could, taking the nearest way. And the little girl took the long route, diverting herself in gathering nuts, running after butterflies, and making nosegays of such little flowers as she met with. The Miss Wolf was not long before she got to the old woman's house. She knocked at the door. "Tap, tap! Who's there?" "Your grandchild, Little Red Riding Hood," replied the Ms. Wolf, faking her voice. "Who she brought you a custard and a little pot of butter sent you by Mama." The good grandmother, who was in bed because she was somewhat ill, cried out, "Pull the string and the latch will go up." The Miss Wolf pulled the string and the door opened, and then she jumped upon the good woman and gobbled her up in a moment. She was so very hungry because she hadn't eaten a thing for more than 3 days. She then shut the door and went into the grandmother's bed, expecting Little Red Riding Hood, who came sometime afterwards and knocked at the door, tap, tap. "Who's there?" Little Red Riding Hood, hearing the big voice of the Miss Wolf, was at first afraid, but believing her grandmother had got a cold and was hoarse, she answered, "'Tis your grandchild, Little Red Riding Hood, who has brought you a custard and a little pot of butter Mama sends you." The Miss Wolf cried out to her, softening her voice as much as she could, "Pull up the string and the latch will go up." Little Red Riding Hood pulled the string and the door opened. The Miss Wolf, seeing her come in, said to her, hiding herself under the bedclothes, "Put the custard and the little pot of butter upon the stool, and come and sit with me." Little Red Riding Hood sat on the bed, where, being greatly amazed to see how her grandmother looked in her nightclothes, she said to her, "Grandma, what great arms you have got! That is the better to hug thee, my dear. Grandma, what great legs you've got! That is to run the better, my child. Grandma, what great ears you have got! That is the better to hear thee, my child. Grandma, what great eyes you've got! It is the better to see thee, my child. Grandma, what great teeth you have got! That is to eat you up." And saying these words, this wicked Ms. Wolf fell upon Little Red Riding Hood and ate her all up. And with her stomach filled with Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother as a tasty 2-course meal for the Miss Big Bad Wolf, lived happily ever after. The end.